Refin Review.
You guys thought that Jimmy was hot with the Turner Sports History longest reigning primetime, programming. Well, like I said, we get the positive. We've been on a positive roll here in Ref and Review.
I'm sick of
Well,
those too.
Well, yeah. Well, that's not the case this week, Jimmy. It's something that, been doing the show for 3 years with Brian, and we brought Jimmy and we brought Daniel in. Something that I've learned from each and every one of you is positioning is everything, right, Jimmy?
It's crucial with everything, especially when it comes to finish, and when the finish is a little bit wonky or complicated. Your positioning is vital to make it come off as smooth and as believable as possible. Now, the spot I'm talking about and the finish I'm talking about was from that 4-weight match from Dynamite that opened the show last week. It was, correct me, Ricochet, Mike Bailey.
It's the Australian guy. Mark Davis.
Mark Davis. And the fourth was, oh my goodness, why am I having a brain fart?
It was.
Anyways,
we don't care about really because we're referees. This is what it's about.
Okay, well, the finish took place. It took place in the corner, relatively speaking. Mike Bailey was in the process of pinning, I believe it was Mark Davis, if I'm not mistaken. So he jacks him up for the pin. Now, before they even get into the pin, you can see Bryce positioning himself awkward in a position that he shouldn't be positioning himself in to begin with. He moved himself with his back to the ropes, which is completely opposite from where the shoulders are of Mark Davis. But anyways, obviously when I saw that happen, for me anyways, I right away knew, okay, something's happening. And just as Mike Bailey went down for the pin, here comes Ricochet through the ropes, also covering, I guess, piggybacking off of Mike Bailey on the pin with his feet on the ropes. Bryce counts, but he is parallel with Mark Davis. In other words, he's facing the same direction as he is. Only difference is Mark Davis is on his back, Bryce is facing down, and he's not even looking at the shoulders. He's looking straight down at the mat. He's not even paying attention to the shoulders. He's intentionally ignoring it so he doesn't see that Ricochet has his feet on the ropes. He counts the 1, 2, 3, but instead of giving it a beat before getting up so Ricochet can get his feet off the ropes, which is, I guess, what they were going for, he gets up so fast that Ricochet didn't have time to get his feet off the ropes. So he saw it. He couldn't not see it. It was just so complicated and so convoluted, and the execution was something that intricate with so many moving parts has to be done so precisely that the margin for error is too great for it to come off looking smooth. And it looked absolutely, I'm going to be honest, it looked horrible. It didn't look good at all. It made everybody look dumb and stupid. And of course, when the referee is trying to, compute in his head and make a decision, why is he looking to the crowd? He's looking at the crowd like he's like, what did you guys, I missed something. What did you guys see?
Yeah.
Like they're going to convince him.
Right. I don't know. It was just poorly executed all the way around. And it started with the poor positioning of Bryce, and he has to get better. I'm sorry. He just needs to get better and be more conscious of this. And when stuff like this comes up, when they're talking the finish, he needs to go to him and go, hey guys, how can we do this where I don't look like a doofus?
Yep, I agree.
Communication is vital.
So let me just say this real quick. The positioning was bad, like you said, Jimmy, but I have to defend this one thing for him. If you're going to do a finish such as that, I get it. I've done that before. Okay. I'm
Mhm.
sure you have too. But the way he did after that was the problem. The positioning, yes, was wrong. But if you're doing a tricky situation like that, I get the positioning, but everything after that was all wrong. Okay. And if he was trying to cover up not seeing Ricochet's feet on the rope, why was there a question at the end of the match of who won? Because you didn't see it supposedly in the way you acted as though.
Mhm.
So why was there a question? And he went crazy looking at the crowd, shoving the boys, which was another thing I had a problem with,
Oh, I have
gra-
that yeah.
grabbing their arms, throwing it down on the ground. Like I would have bitch smacked him if I was one of the boys and him manhandling me like that. I can't stand that. So I don't get the whole finish. The whole finish was just screwy, dumb, doesn't make sense. And I think whoever came up with it could have made good sense out of it. And I don't think that's what they wanted. I would think not. But like you said, Jimmy, he popped up. And I guess if you want to make it make sense, him seeing the feet on the rope would make it question it. But then why even position yourself that way?
Hmm.
I'm going to say this. First of all, I'm going to defend him in a way that he did what he was told to do on that portion. I don't know how much.
Daniel, I don't think so. I don't think so. So if someone told you to do that, you're doing that?
Well, no, hold on. Let me.
All
I
right, go
wasn't
ahead.
finished. I was going to go
Yeah.
further.
All right, sorry.
But what I would do if this ever got brought into the conversation, whether I'm in a production meeting or agent meeting or whatever was happening or going over the match, and they told me this finish, I would immediately go, okay, well, hold on. This is the story you want to take, and I would start questioning what we're doing and how we can make this work. I think the way that this would have worked, in my opinion, you can have this, but there's no feet on the ropes, or maybe there is. But what you do is you do it. There's two other people. There's four people in the ring total, so that means there could be two separate pins. You do the typical. You do the ref bump. You send another ref out. You allow this to happen. Things move around. Whatever. Bryce gets up, sees Speedball covering the other with the back's turned away. Whoever, Rick Knox, Paul Turner, Aubrey, somebody else could be there. Other way, see Ricochet pinning or not seeing the Philip, whatever it is, and they're both counting 1, 2, 3. Then you have the argument of, well, wait, he's the winner. No, he's the winner. He's the winner. And then finally they go, well, both of them are in. But you need a management person to say that, not the refs to say, well, they're both won. You need something else like that.
Mhm.
So that's the way you make it work better. I understand where they were going with and the story they were getting to try to get out of two people in the match to have a triple threat. But there's so many different ways of doing it creatively that could get that point across. And I don't like the fact that, in my opinion, I don't think even me, if I was in that position, I would go, I'm the one that says this. I don't like it where I am the one that makes the decision that it becomes, as a referee, a triple
Mhm.
threat match. It should be where it's a draw. I don't know. And then later on, you have somebody, Tony Khan or whoever's supposedly in charge of that, or Christopher Daniels, whoever that is, says, I've reviewed the tape, blah, blah, blah. We're just going to either have another match or we're going to make it a triple threat.
Mhm.
That's to me, that's a better, that elongates that story as well, instead of just having this announcement right away too. I think you could have got more out of it as well. That's where I see the wrong in a lot of it. And granted, yes, bad positioning, bad things, but I think it all goes down to it should have started before the match happened. Like, wait a minute, how do we get out of this? I don't want to look like a doofus. I don't want to. This doesn't make any sense. And then
Mhm.
make it make sense. And again, if they said they did, Bryce could have done that. Like I said, sorry, this is what I want. This is going to happen. Just make it work. And if
Mhm.
that's the case, he did what he told him to do. And kudos to him for doing exactly what the boss or agents or whatever told him to do. It would have been better. I think it could have been better overall production, overall, if they would have
Mhm.
stretched it out, or even, again, had two referees in the moment and did the who's win and then caused more chaos later on in the show and the announcement later. You get more out of it, in my opinion.
So no
Sure.
Daniel and Jimmy. So no
Yeah.
Daniel and Jimmy. So if two guys pin a guy, they both win now. Is that how we're working this now?
No, that would never. So like
Mhm.
that doesn't work on that because.
But it did there.
Well, I know, but that's where I would have the conversation and the argument, and when we discussed that before the match, like when the business is going over, and I would, that would be brought up, and respectfully, and like, hey, can I give my opinion on this kind of deal,
Hmm.
To
and
me,
bring it up.
well, to me, Mike Bailey wins that match. If you think about it hypothetically, he's the guy on top of the guy.
Yeah,
He initiated the pin.
Correct. Ricochet piggybacked off of Mike Bailey. So in other words, he pressed him further down for a pin. He never pinned the guy.
yeah,
He
got it.
basically, and I guess in theory, he basically held Mike Bailey down for the pin.
Guys, we can try and make sense of this all we want.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
not.
I know. But the
and
bottom line, but really quickly again, I know he's doing what he's told to do, but at the same time, I've been told to do things, and I tried my best not to make it look like dog dunk.
and the
You know what I
other
mean?
and the other thing, yeah,
He could have protected
yeah,
himself in other ways, and
could have.
he just going with the flow sometimes doesn't cut it. You have to, even if they're making you do things that you don't feel comfortable doing and don't think it's the right course of action, you know what? Hey, okay, this is what they want me to do. I'm going to have to make it work in some form or fashion.
And Daniel, I remember you coming to me several times at a TV or even a pay-per-view, and you said, here's what they want me to do. And I was like, no way. That's not going to work. And you were like, that's what I'm thinking. And I was like, you know what I mean? Let me go to the agent. And I would feel it out. I would politically correctly change it. And you would say,
Yeah.
thank God. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the other thing too is another way you could have done this is that the pin could have happened, the feet on the shoulders. Bryce could have counted, didn't see the feet or feet on the rope. Sorry, didn't see the feet. Called Ricochet the winner. Looked over and went, wait a minute. Had Paul Turner as the senior official run down and go, wait a minute, and started explaining stuff, and then that
Mhm.
caused the confusion, and that allows then both of them are the whatever you could have done. But again, I think if foot's on the rope, you've got to extend it one more week and allow
Mhm.
the following week to have a match between the two, and then you could have had a draw, a no finish, and then put them in a three-way. I don't
That's
know.
fair.
That's just my creative way of doing. There's a lot of, you could have still done the exact same thing they did, just the business portion of it needed to be different to make that make sense to get where they wanted to go. There's many different flavors of ice cream, right?
Mhm.
The bottom line is it's some taste good and some still don't. So
True.
I love you, Daniel, but I'm just saying none of it makes sense. It didn't have to be convoluted that bad.
Hey,
The,
can
the
we put
fans
a,
were even like silent, like, what the hell is going on?
all right. Can we put a spike in this and move on?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
So why don't we do this? We have the great
Thank you. Somebody got
Falsy
that.
off. The
Yeah.
great Falsy off of 2025.
Ooh.
If you've been listening to the show over the last little bit, we had a Falsy off between one Daniel Spencer and one Mr. Rod Zapata. The tapes are in. They are reviewed by Brian and Jimmy. Who would like to go first? Brian, Jimmy?
Mm-mm.
Go, Jimmy.
Oh boy. Uh, I'll be honest with you. I watched the tapes and it was a close one. I'm going to be honest here.
I
It was really close.
100% agree. 100% agree.
It was tough. It was tough. I didn't see any ice cream scooping. Um,
Daniel just said there's many flavors.
yeah, there's many flavors, but and I'm going to give it the edge. Man,
Dramatic
sorry,
pause.
DS, but I'm going to give it to Rod only because of that one false finish that had that Seth and them had the crowd jump out of their skin. That's the only reason. Other than that, you talk about doing one of those screwy finishes where both guys win. That's what I'm looking for here, but I can't figure one out. But I'm giving him the slightest of the 0.01% edge because of that one falsy. That's it. Sorry.
Okay. So I think Daniel's going to actually be excited about my decision. I think Rod may be the one that may not like it.
Uh-oh.
So as far as the false finish goes, and Jimmy, that's so funny. It's on my sheet. I wrote it down. The false finish you're talking about. I am going to give the nod to Rod on the false finish. And it is so slight. It is so slight. But I have got to put over my boy Daniel, though, because the weakest thing about his game when I first got to TNA is better than Rod's. His timing or uh, his cadence is better than Rod, and that was his weakness. Rod does tend to speed up on the 1, 2, 3.
He does.
And once again, another thing I want to put Daniel over. I think Daniel gets better positioning. I think he's always head to shoulders. And I noticed that Rod sometimes quickly wants to get down and go 1, 2, you know what I mean? Like quickly. Like you don't have to get in position and do the 1, 2. You know what I mean? Nothing bad is what I'm saying about Rod at all. And nothing bad about you, Daniel, is what I'm saying about false finishes. Y'all are so close. There's so many similarities, in my opinion, that it like Jimmy said, it was so like, I just think that Rod may have a slight edge as far as the false finishes go, even though yours are fantastic. And it's hard to knock somebody that has great falsies like you, Daniel.
That's the problem.
It is. But I'll say this: your cadence is better, and by boy, I know Rod's going to call me tomorrow, or he texts me. What are you talking about? Explain to me. Show me. I don't have to.
Yeah.
You go watch the tape.
He's going to call you tomorrow because I got to add one more thing in the difference in the way you guys count. Now, obviously, we were talking about the false finish and which one the crowd bit on the most, and that's why I went with Rod on this one, just because of that one false finish. That's it.
Oh, it was a good false finish. It was
It was great because the crowd bit. But Daniel's range of motion with his arm when he counts
is high.
Is better.
I told him that. Right or wrong, Daniel?
Rod.
Pretty sure he did.
I don't know.
Earl did.
Oh God, here we fucking go.
Does he? Rod almost feels like he has a little trouble getting that jacked up arm up, high enough. I don't know. Rod, I'm bugging you again. Don't get hot.
You're killing me, Spider, right?
Rod, even though you got a little criticism, you did win the falsy off. But there are some things that need a little improvement, nothing major, and it's hard to pick on somebody that does things really well. So
and I will say this, we'll have another one because obviously when
he's gonna be hot. He's gonna want to wake up. Yeah.
When we had the challenge, we didn't know their matches, so he gets Seth and Finn, phenomenal match, and nothing against, but I get a tag match. So sometimes in a tag match, you can only do so many. Some of the falsies are break spots, right? You don't even get to the 2.99. So, anyways,
Daniel, you saying you work with shitty talent?
No.
Wow, you threw that out there.
Come on now.
Threw that out. Okay.
Come on now.
No, I didn't know your point.
It's okay. Don't hold back. Tell us what you really think.
My point was sometimes the falsy could go longer, but the break spot or whatever, breaking the pin. So
you tend to get more of them in a tag match too.
Yes, you do. So
you do. No, I'm busting your balls. I'm just kidding.
So we'll have another one because I'm going to beat him in this year. So this is the.
We'll have to have the tiebreaker.
Exactly. So there we go. So
you know what we have to do? We have to go back in the archives and check out the old farts who used to count.
Oh gosh, we don't want to do that. Let's not do that.
With her foot.
Oh, not that far back. No, Bronco Lubitsch. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
with all due respect to him.
Hey, I would love to do a best bump. Guarantee I win that. Freaking I win that.
Yeah, well, I used to bump like a sack of potatoes, man.
See, I didn't. I was athletic, Jimmy. I was flying and flipping.
I dropped like a potato, man. Like I'm not athletic. I'm not supposed to be athletic anyway. Hey, high school, 5'10.5", I could dunk a basketball.
Right.
I shocked people. They were like, "What the? Why are you playing guard?"
White boys can't jump.
Well, back when you played basketball, Jimmy, the hoop was only like 6 feet tall, right?
Shh, kayfabe, brother.
and it was never mind. Well, yeah.
All right, and
Anyways,
real quick,
it was 8.
Real quick before we bring our guest in, he's probably in there eating the steak I left for him.
He's probably wondering what the hell he got himself into right now.
Daniel, you said you wanted to mention something. You of all people want to end on a nice note.
I do actually.
A nice note. A
So yeah,
nice.
so shout out to what's his name? Oh my gosh, his
Dan
name
Danello.
Dan Danello. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
What a great time. This is when you do it, guys. There was a dark match that happened after Raw on Monday. It looks like it was Rey Mysterio, Punk, and Cody versus Judgment Day. And when he was throwing out Liv and
Raquel.
Raquel,
Yeah.
he threw one out by doing the whole roll it up and you're out of here. And then the second one, he got a little more mustard on it, Behead would like to say, and he did a little cartwheel and then threw her out, and that was great. And then I love that Punk made him do the cartwheel to raise the hand at the end too. So that's when you have fun. That's the time to do that, and that's not for TV, but you do that on little stuff like that, and it was fun. I'm sure somebody in the ear told him to do it as a rib or a joke, and kudos for him for doing that, right?
Okay, I will give him props for that. Yes, I'm giving props. I know. But anyway, I do give him props for that because to me, man, the amount of stuff I had to do in a dark match, which believe me, I did so many of them. I thought I was only going to work on Sunday Night Heat for fucking ever. But
Don't
I
get
swear,
heat, brother.
oh, I was doing frog splashes into finishes. I was doing front rolls into a cartwheel. I mean, so yes, cahoots to you, my brother. Way to do what your producer tells you to do. Just do it. Suck it up. Who cares?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.